homie quarantine, Raheem DeVaughn. What's up, G?
Peace, man. How you?
Good, we good. Hey, Bijou, it looks like Raheem, he's stuck to the quarantine because he need a liner like a mug.
Oh, shush.
This nigga.
He followed
This nigga
directions. I like that. I like that. And you look comfy. You got your robe on. I see you. You in the house for real.
Yeah, this is the Boombox basement area. This is where it all goes down, man. You know, live entertainment, you know, informing the people of things going on, a lot of strategies and figuring out, you know, what the new norm is for, you know, I would say temporarily, but when you really look at this thing from a wide spectrum of reality, like this is gonna be the norm. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
So, but we get it. We'll get into that. You know what I mean? I ain't gonna house the interview. You know.
Hey, so that being said, I know you've been in the lab. You know, you down there. You know what I'm saying, doing your thing. I know you've been in the lab, homie.
Yeah. I mean, very strategically. You know what I mean? Working on getting a dope home set up. You know, recording wise. But you know, I've always been, to be honest with you, bro. Like, I always kind of liked not having the studio at the crib. For just because it's like when you home, and then when you at work, you work. I always liked the feeling of like over the last 25 years of pulling up to the studio. Different periods of my life, I had like home setup, but it always for me like mentally and just you know, work related, and just being able to separate the two so that when I am home, I'm home, and when I'm at work, I'm at work. I kind of like the idea of being able to pull up and drive, and you know, if I wanted to stay, you know, stay there, it was that accommodation and what have you. So it's definitely a minor adjustment. But you know, over the last 20 years, I put a lot of work in too. So it's kind of easy for me in terms of if I want to put out a project, it's really just going in the vault and just saying like, yo, take these songs, mix them, let's master them, and let's put them out. I mean, I got enough music. I could probably drop an album every 9 months for the next 15 years. Like, no joke.
Damn,
sheesh.
That's what's up. Yeah.
You know,
yeah,
so
that's how you do. Yeah.
You know what I mean. So, so it's kind of cool to not have to feel like, oh my God, I gotta go to the studio because I don't know what you know. The music business, ironically, is still thriving, and you know, people are taking this time to, of course, be healthy and quarantine, finding ways to, you know, new ways to entertain themselves, you know, by Netflix and what have you, but through social media. So I really been tapping into that.
And your streaming game is crazy, dude. I mean, you up like 30 billion, dude. They like folks streaming the hits. They streaming your music.
Yeah. So folks are streaming the music again. This is a time where they they're not just Netflix and chilling. Like they're, you know, aerobics and Raheem DeVaughn, or you know what I mean. Whatever their process is, you know, on a day-to-day, they're including me in their, you know, in their regimen. You know, Pandora and Spotify and these different things, you know. So definitely, you know, it's a blessing and a lesson in everything that we transition and go through. You know what I mean? And so you gotta be able to look at the you know, it's about how you look at, you know, the glass of water too. Is it half full, half empty? You know.
Very true. Very true. So, you know, I asked, well, I don't know if you know, but I asked John Legend last week when we talked to him, the versus battles, right? Now, he really didn't know who he would battle. He did say something about Alicia Keys, you know, because they both, you know, play music, you know, on the piano. But who would the Love King want to go against in a versus battle?
That's interesting, because I didn't know that they would. When you just when you saying his, it kind of changes the spectrum of like, I never thought about like, okay, well, if I battle somebody, like who the female would be. You know what I mean? That's different. That's a spin on it. You know what I mean? With him and her, you know. But I think, man, and I've kind of spoken on this. I spoke on this last night, matter of fact, on the live, you know, for Mixtape Mondays, which is I got a whole regiment schedule, which I'll be letting people know, you know, before we jump off. But man, I think what would make sense, it probably would be, and I've been seeing it a lot, is myself and Music Soul Child.
That's a good one.
Oh, okay.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Self and Anthony Hamilton.
Oh yeah.
Myself and maybe even like somebody like Tank. You know what I mean? I say those.
Real singers.
Yeah, and I say, but it's also a time era thing, because I saw a clip recently where Keith Sweat and Fat Joe were having a conversation about this same thing, and their verses is on Keith Sweat neck right now, trying to possibly. And I can't remember who Keith said, but I know that what he did say was it would have to make sense, because it's only he comes from a certain era and time period. You know what I mean?
Right.
And a thing that's unique about my sound of music, like I live in a 90s time machine, futuristically speaking, when it comes to R&B and soul music, and I think that it's a very young OG flair to it, but it's a very new millennial sound too that I've created. You know what I'm saying, sonically, right? And that make it, and I kind of stick out with it. It's like my own lane.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure that it's somebody actually from my era that actually makes sense. Now I've also seen like Maxwell, you know what I mean, as well. But the thing about that, I feel like Maxwell and like D'Angelo would be a better fit, and it kind of
makes sense. Yeah, right, that makes sense.
Came out before, my first album came out 2005, so I didn't come out in the, you know what I mean, I didn't come out in the 90s. My sound has that flair to it, but a lot of these cats, D'Angelo's first album was in 1995. You know what I mean? So so it's a time era thing. I think it's a catalog thing. One thing that no one can ever dispute or argue is that I've been very consistent. You know what I'm saying? I've always put out a body of work. Where it gets tricky is the popularity. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of people go for the vote, or they go for the, that's how Trump got in office.
Come on.
Okay? Popularity and the illusion of that, of that TV screen. You know what I mean? Some of us call it the idiot box. You know what I mean? So it's but one thing about the internet, you can use that search engine. You can seek truth. You can find truth. You can find you can play the advocate to say I could say God's advocate. I don't like to say devil's advocate. You play God's advocate and say, all right, well, what about this scenario? Or maybe this is what's going on. Or you know what? Damn, I ain't know. Damn, that's the real king on the low. You know what I mean? Wow, I didn't know. I didn't know that catalog went that deep. I didn't, because for me, I've been independent, man. It'll be 10 years, 2021 that I've been an independent artist. You know what I mean? So I make it look easy. A lot of what I do, it's a lot of late nights and strategizing right here in the war room and figuring it out, and also spending my own and just kind of like constantly like investing in myself. Even somebody who might come from humble beginners understand, like, if you in a trap, you're gonna be, when some days you up, some days you down.
Down, right.
You gotta flip it. You gotta reinvest in yourself, and all while doing it, laying low and being humble.
What was that breaking point when you said, you know what, I'm just gonna rock out with this independent? You got a lot of people still, no knock to anybody, try to get those deals with the major labels. But I'm pretty sure without a problem you could have got that.
Yeah.
What was that moment you was like, let me do this on my own?
Yeah, which I did have for a period of time. Like, I was on job year 2002 to 2010, right? And it was a great learning experience. And I went into that situation as an independent artist transitioning into, quote unquote, the industry, right? And going into it, I never lost that ambition. I never lost those day to day, you know, hand to hand, you know, kiss the babies, hug the people, you know, techniques, you know what I mean? But that's genuinely, and I call them techniques because it's a science to it, you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, I'm a business, but it's something that I genuinely enjoy doing. And I think the blessing in it for me was that the fact that every job that I had, you know, I wasn't always the Raheem DeVaughn that the world knew. So every job that I had prior to becoming a public figure, and, you know, humanitarian, it allowed me to, I was in a customer service space. So where I was the first guy you came encounter with when you entered the place of business, you know what I'm saying, issue with, or I was the first person you spoke to on the phone, you know. I was and I had to be disciplined to know and an understanding of knowing that I was representing something bigger than myself. Like,
where did you work? What was your customer service job? Give me one. What was you at? I was at Payless. I had a Payless gig. I was selling shoes.
I started working at 16, man. So that's another thing. So I knew nothing but hard work. I know nothing but work my whole life. You know what I mean? It kind of kept me out of trouble. It kept me out of some very bad circumstances. You know what I'm saying? And being in the right place at the right time instead of the wrong place at the wrong time. You did? So for me, I started, man, working at like 14, 15 years old. I worked for Giant Food for many years. I worked for Chevy Chase Bank telemarketing. I worked for Long Fence, like going in the neighborhoods I quote unquote didn't belong in, and taking a risk of knocking on people's doors, not knowing what's on the other side. You know, in 100-degree weather, you know what I mean, trying to sell people fences. I worked many places, man. My last job was at Tower Records. Yeah, you know what I mean? Where I actually sold music. I learned a lot about different genres of music, how consumers buy music, who buys music, how they buy it. You know what I mean? That was very educational for me. I transitioned to loss prevention, where so imagine me. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Some cat down the street, you know what I mean, for, you know, trying to steal some porn or something, right? So
God.
You know, so because they had an entire video section there at Tower Records, you know what I mean? So yeah, it's man, and it was crazy because the majority of the people that shoplift did not, which I learned, they did not look like us.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It was man. It was an eye opener doing that. Like, man, and that ultimately, you know, you can't put a shade or a tone, you know, to a culture, to a thief.
Right. Dude, they started it, damn it.
Yeah, you know, so
the original thief.
Yeah, it allowed me to definitely, you know, just learn about people and having to interact with people on a day-to-day when I didn't want to, when I didn't feel like talking, when I, you know, you still had to put on the smile and you know, and I think one of the biggest misconceptions about, you know, being a public figure is that we're not regular people like everybody else. You know what I mean? So, you know, if I respond to you in it's like, you know, if I respond to you in a comment, it's an interesting, like the concept of that, you know, with the fan being on the other side of the phone and social media, and how, you know, I've always been that, you know, one of the things that a lot of my, you know, supporters, they say, man, you the fact that you down to earth and you humble and I can tap in, you know what I mean? Yeah, it's, you know, it's a unique thing, and that's not something you can really, I feel like you can bottle up and sell, because at the end of the day, they know, they can tell, they know who's real, they know who's connecting with the people, they know where it's just like the gimmick, where it's like, all right, it's not organic, it's not real, you know what I mean? So So yeah, it's important that that for me, you know, I just maintain it now, you know, and it continues to grow organically, you know. If you'd have told me, you know, 10 weeks ago that this would be the new norm and that I'd be on, you know, social media, you know, 3 times a week, on, you know, the Love King quarantine and the fans had to be locking in, and, you know, fans tell they, you know, I got people that you know, I did a free I did a Mother's Day concert on Facebook this past Sunday. Still up on the page, whatever, you can go check it out right here from the Boombox Basement. You know, and for the moms, and over 3,000 people, you know what I'm saying, locked in with me. You know, probably over 100,000 have seen it at this point. And it was interesting, man. You know, I after the show, we did the after party on Instagram Live, right?
Okay.
You know, the meet and greet, or what have you, where I allowed to talk to some mothers, I talked to some supporters, some fans, and we did screenshot photos and all of that, right? And one of the I talked to, she said, "Yo, I just want to thank you." And she said, "I want to thank you because, you know, I was diagnosed with COVID-19, and that and you know, I spent about 20, you know, I spent about 20 days in isolation, you know what I'm saying, in my home, and, you know, I had, you know, of course, like Netflix and different things, and maybe family members that checked on me, you know, and stuff like that. But I also had you, because you're one of my favorite artists, you know, and you've been consistently, you know, giving me a sense of escapism, but also a sense of awareness. You know what I'm saying? And you know, because we have those real moments where we kind of talk about things. So yeah. You know, for me,
I mean, I mean, you enjoy what you do, but when you hear stories like that at a time like this, when you have to be a family man as well, and you hear stories like that, how does that make you feel?
It makes me feel warm inside. It makes me feel like God's work is being done. You know, it's interesting you talk about that, because from a family perspective, I think everybody in their household, this is affecting them in some capacity, like mental health wise. Like there's no way there's that, and that's a big thing that nobody is talking about.
Yes.
Right. So you find yourself, you know, so even the danger in what it is that I'm doing and that I'm choosing to do when I go online, I'm now because it's been, you know, about 8-9 weeks, right? Now, and we get it, and there's still ideas and things that I want to do, and, you know, in my mind, this thing is going to last for a while. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is going to be, you know, I've already started to kind of unravel how, like, the live performance part of this is going to be, and it ain't a good look. It's kind of going to feel like the 1940s again. You know what I'm saying? Where you overworked, underpaid, right? If you talk about the live, from a live cultural standpoint of entertaining people and being health conscious and that type of thing. So that means potentially, like, you're performing in a room of people, no more than, you know, 50 to 100 people. I'm gonna say that again. Things like festivals and that type of thing. So the majority of the time of the, you know, that experience that we have, like live or seeing your favorite person, it's gonna be like this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then you got the economy and the people that won't even be able to do either one of those things. You know what I'm saying? If you fall in between that, you know, 12, 13, 15% of the people that are unemployed, you know what I mean? And we got to hope that doesn't double or triple. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things, man, where you have to, but to answer your question, you have to think about it's balance. So even for me, because we you know, as far as mental health goes, it's kind of become my refuge too. And everybody's finding their own way of coping and you know, the coping mechanism that comes with, you know, the new norm. You know what I mean? So find that balance. So, you know, originally I was going on at like midnight and doing my thing, and it's cool, but then you lose kind of like, you know, you up all night, and you lose a lot of the next day, your schedule's off. So now I'm starting to kind of like chase that balance of figuring out, okay, and being, having a schedule within the household, whether, you know, if you're dealing with kids or, you know, a significant other and whatever. So y'all don't feel like the constantly going like this. It's two people that's working from home and the kids, and, you know what I mean? And that whole process, and trying to maintain your business and your sanity, you know what I mean? Because in our business, you know, as public entertainers, you know, using these platforms, again, thank y'all for your platform. There's a type of hustle you got to have with it too, and a tenacity, you know. As soon as this thing hit, I hit the ground running. Like when it was, are we in the house? All right, I found a platform where I could perform live, and work out the kinks, and get compensated for it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, this is our business. This is what we do. As an independent artist, it's how I eat, like from live performance. You know what I mean? You take that away, it changes the whole scope of like how I feed my family, my loved ones, period. You know what I mean? Whether you're talking about on a festival level where I'm doing a show for 70,000 people, you know what I mean? Where that price cap is different, or when I'm performing for acoustic performance of 100 people or 150, whether, or, you know, now, my norm is like this, and kind of figuring it out, you know, and creating a platform where everybody's going to be able to come that's a Raheem DeVaughn fan and check out what I do. You know,
and you know, we talked about that before. I didn't mean to cut you off, Raheem, but you know, you said you're able to get compensated for doing what you're doing on live, and we spoke about this, like you said, this new norm. How will fans, you know, kind of, how will they deal with the fact that, okay, I'm gonna have to pay to see you on the screen and not in person?
Crazy, man, because there's this kind of like battle I've had with myself, right? And initially is when I started going live, where I would you know, I put the Cash App up or whatever, right? And how that be perceived and the why and whatever. But the reality is, when I started putting it up, my supporters and my fans were asked like, "Hey, what's your joint?" And I was like, "Okay, cool. Let me put that up." And then it dawned on me, you know what I'm saying? Like, yo, I should feel bad about that. You know what I mean? One,
your talent.
Yeah, as somebody who has a foundation that does a plethora of community work, you know what I mean? It gives me another avenue, right? To pour into the community, you know what I mean? Which we started up, which you know, in the last 2 weeks, we started a really dope campaign with through my Love Life Foundation, where we're going out and servicing first responders and the night shift nurses who a lot of times are forgotten about at these hospitals. Right. You know, especially with the new hours of operation for restaurants and DoorDash and that type of thing. And some of these they're fearful of going and delivering to the hospital in these areas where they're treating COVID-19 patients. I got a soldier on the ground, a sister, Alma's Foundation, which she's a caterer, at catering, and we've been delivering food like locally to all of the, you know, she cooked.
Awesome.
I mean, like, you know, it's my responsibility to raise some funds per week and you know, and invest in that. And she goes and gets the food and cooks it and delivers the meals, and, you know,
right.
Pretty dope operation we got. She's the only one allowed in there. That's one. She has to pull up. They can't turn her away. She has to show them a video from me that I already sent her. Hey, it's right.
Yeah.
On behalf of the Foundation, she's just here to feed the you know, the first responders and what have you. Woo. And so it's been great. It allows me. But the point I'm trying to make is that why not put it up? Because at the end of the day, we log on and we're using all these different platforms now, Zoom included, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and they're
They
making money.
making money. They can make your money.
They've been making money hand over fist for over a decade. All for the culture of what we do.
Yeah. All for the culture.
Yeah. And then and also dictate to you and tell you day by day, a month by month. I don't know if you notice, but they dictate to you and tell you what you can do and what you can't do on their platform because they own it.
They
you know what I mean? And it's absolutely
really
nothing
do. That's a fact.
You can do about it. You know what I mean? If you on Facebook now, I don't know if you noticed, but and that just kind of just like change, you know what I mean? Depending on what you're doing, and somebody that loves music, you want to play music, they'll shut your page down. You know what I mean? So so it's a bigger picture to look at. You know what I'm saying? And an eye opener for what this thing is and how successful you can be as an artist virally from your home and if you take the opportunity to educate yourself and invest in yourself, and and with that being said, it's definitely a platform where I'll be able to kind of stretch out and move how I want to move, online without what they say, if you build it, the people will come.
That's right. That's right.
So that's also part of the new norm, man, and I'm thankful for it. It's the Badu Jill battle the other night. Man, Badu is dropping all types of, and she's the only one that I can say right now that's moving in the mindset of how I'm moving, that's already got the jump and already moving at the speed of light and already kind of like gets it. You know what I mean? Yeah. But that's why she's Eric Badu. You know what I'm saying? Always been right. You know what I'm saying? Right. I call it a culture shifter. And I've always been that guy too. You know what I'm saying? And what's interesting about me is kind of just I moved to a different drum. I don't I have no shame or pride in being the guinea pig for my own success. Mm-hmm. And if you see me do it first and then you do it better, cool. You know what I'm saying? But right. Works for me and what I feel is like beneficial to the culture and to the people and for the people at the end of the day. I work for the people. You know what I mean? And,
well, I definitely see that, with the conscience and taking it back, how you took the old school, like you took like the Temptations and the groups back in the day. Yeah. That vibe of going out into the audience.
Yeah.
Rocking the crowd.
Yeah.
It's a whole nother level.
Yeah.
If I'm singing, hell no, I ain't coming on after Raheem. Hell no. So big up so that, man. The creativity is there, man. And
thank you.
Just glad to see you continue to do what you do.
Thank you.
We're gonna talk about the new music. Speaking of that, we didn't even get into that
yet. Yeah. Let's talk about it. The new album, the most recent album, The Love Reunion, which is out, is doing extremely well on the stream side. The current single is Love Reunion. It's a song that speaks to infidelity, forgiveness, all the things that we deal with when it comes to like relationships and just being human beings, right? Mm-hmm. And and the fact that I've never, up to date, I never had that Raheem DeVaughn, please, baby, please, baby, please, baby, please. You know what I'm saying? So facing, but it comes from a place of sincerity, you know what I'm saying? And things that we have to address. And if you're going to talk about truly what a love reunion is, for some of us, or for most of us, that's a reality of, growth and acceptance, you know what I mean? And so but it's a phenomenal body of work. I feel like the Love Reunion is probably full circle of what of where I started with the Love Experience. Ironically, that album came out, the Love Experience album came out June 28th, 2005, and the Love Reunion album dropped June 28th, 2019. So it's kind of like really put it full circle. It's like full circle. right? And I feel like making this last album, it allowed me to become. I became a master of what I do.
Right. Okay.
So it took that long, and I'm thankful for that, and so it's like, so now going in the studio and working when I'm in there, wherever I am, it's got an effortless feel to it. You know what I'm saying? It's very surreal, and so I enjoy challenging myself and just becoming, being consistent with what I do, but constantly finding new ways to tap into the greatness and tell the story of love, from a lover's standpoint and from a conscious standpoint as well, finding new ways to challenge myself lyrically and as a vocalist, and the arrangements and the harmonies and the layers and stuff that people have fallen in love with for me, over the last 15, 20 years.
Yeah. All right, man. We appreciate this time, bruh. And I know you about to hit back into the lab, or what you about to chill out, or what? What you about to do? What you about to get to?
I got a 3 o'clock. I have actually a 3 o'clock with a good friend of mine, also music part of my crew, Wes Felton. He's started a one half of the Crossroads. He was out there with me the last time we performed, and her brother was painting as well as singing. He started kind of like a talk show that he does at 3 p.m. on IG, and so I'm gonna join him. You know what I mean? And then tonight I'll be on IG Live at 10 p.m. for Throwback Tuesdays, where we've been using these Tuesdays over the last 8-9 weeks to go back into like the vault and listen to, like, we started with the Love Experience. We worked our way all the way up to the Love Reunion last week, and this week I've been putting my fans on to projects that I released prior to the world knowing my name. So tonight we're doing like the Crossroads, which is a part of or whatever. So just dope, man. Just again finding ways to keep myself busy, entertain the people, and I kind of guess you could say I started a non-for-profit kind of like online business where I can support my foundation efforts as well, and doing personal birthday greetings and stuff like that, which is cool. So that's been keeping me busy. I had a slew of Mother's Day greetings I had to do and all that stuff, man. So just it's a new time, man.
No doubt. All right, we're gonna catch back up with you real soon, bro. No doubt, man.
Yeah, hey, look,
much respect.
I look forward to a time where we can get together, man, and be in one room and enjoy music and all of that. But until then, man, let's stay creative, and whatever y'all need me for, I'm there for y'all. Thank y'all for always putting integrity first when it comes to music and the culture versus the marketing inside of this thing. So I appreciate y'all. Thank you.
All right, homie. Appreciate it.
Thanks. See you, Raheem.
Love. All right, peace.